By the way, U.S. National Weather Service has issued a winter weather advisory for your area. It'll be in effect Friday, December 20th, 7 p.m. to Saturday, December 21st, 10 p.m. To turn this off, ask me to cancel severe weather alerts.
Alright, so you heard that, right? I was getting ready to do some work down here in the office, and instead I'm heading outside. So today I had to do a little bit of hand shoveling of snow so we could have, exposed the concrete just to make sure that everything melted. But apparently we've got some potential for some storm coming up, so that means I got to do some stuff. The other day I was talking about how we had a fire in the garage, and basically what happened was that last two lights, I know it's really confusing. It was confusing to me when we first moved in, but basically there are 6 screw-in light bulbs, or 6 screw-in sockets. Then there's one in the middle. I have no idea why it's there. It doesn't seem to be hooked up to anything, but nonetheless, it's there. And what I did is I ordered lights like this for all of those. And 2 days after I installed them out here, and they lit up the garage really well. We had that fire where the wood burner used to be. That's behind the lawn cart and the deck for the mower. That's what we're going to be working on here. And it melted those lights, except for this one. So I just threw up some other lights that we had up there. And I couldn't turn on that last 2 lights because every time I did, they would kind of come on and flicker, and they would do some weird stuff. And I assumed, well, since the lights melted over there, maybe there's some problems with the sockets. And it wasn't that at all. It was when they melted, they shorted out, and they caused a problem with the switch. So now I have a new switch. I turn the switch on, and now I have a couple of extra lights. But again, I'm going to redo all the lighting in here. You can see there's still even some after effects of, yeah, that's an LED. These aren't fluorescent. These are LEDs, but you can see it kind of fell apart there. And I'll get some better lighting in here because, of course, we just moved in. We haven't been in this place that long, so you got to bear with me. That's why there's still a lot of disaster going on. But the reason I'm out here today is because of what you just heard about the thing. And I haven't really worked on this since the last video. And we got parts in. I got a fuel pump in. We have the correct air filter in, which in the video I said 87370. It's 87373. Don't order the 0. That's the wrong one. I do have to put on a new belt. Like I said, I was going to get it. I got it. Now I can put on the engine covers. We did get a way to connect the lawn cart. This just goes over the ball, which is going to be interesting. I'll have to see how that works out. But we'll have to put the ball also. Now, throughout the time that I'm filming, you're going to hear the torpedo heater kicking on and off. And this is for a future project. This is something that's going on at my wife's work. Let me explain. All these businesses that are out there, not all of them are doing really well necessarily. And even though my wife has worked at Advanced Auto Parts for quite some time, she's noticed that their stock is not as high as it used to be. And some of their stores are struggling. Now, they got a new CEO in a couple years back. He seems to be doing a pretty good job. We don't know how that's going to work out. When I say we, I mean her and I. But she has 2 stores that are local to her that are going out of business. Now, my wife's store, it'll be one of the last ones ever to go out of business because it's a producer. She produces a lot of money out of that store. I don't know, a couple million a year maybe. It's a good store. But whenever other stores go out of business, you get these sales that happen that everything's like 40, 50, whatever percent off. And it's all sales are final. One thing I want to stress to make it easier on her, if you're watching this video and you're thinking, boy, I'm going to have to run into find one of those stores that are closing and do that. You don't order parts to come into that store and expect to get them at the store going out of business price. You get the parts that are in the store in the inventory for that price. It's kind of a nightmare. So there's a couple things going on here. First of all, this is a Motorcraft ignition coil for the Taurus wagon. The wagon had a misfire the other day. I think this Motorcraft coil only cost something like $40. It was pretty cheap. All these brake parts. My son's car is making a little bit of noise whenever you push the brake pedal. We did the brakes when we first got it. He's put quite a, tens of thousands of miles on it since then. And just to play it safe, she got 2 rotors, the left and right caliper, and the brake pads, $80. I think this was all $80. Very, very inexpensive. She told me how much it would cost, and I said, listen, I don't think he needs rotors, and I don't even think he needs calipers. I said, I think his stuff's new. I said, but for that price, why wouldn't you? So that's what I'm doing today. Again, I'm going to kind of wheel this back out in the middle of the garage, and we'll do some work on this thing. What do you guys think? I'm glad some of you chimed in talking about glad to see us back and wanted to see this return to its former glory. We'll get it there. In the spring, it'll be a lot better because I'll pressure wash and degrease this quite a bit. I'll take a look at the seals a little closer because I do see a little bit of oil leaking down there. That could just be from its setting. Could be that it actually needs something replaced. But yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. In the meantime, we have a $700 snowblower that we've got to get rid of because we're not going to utilize it. I don't mind the garage messy. I don't like it when I don't know where everything is. And I was looking all over for this the other day. Gosh darn it. Man, I'll tell you. See how that works? Let's get these gloves warmed up first. So I got this thing set up to go on and off at 55 degrees, so it's just going to do its own thing. There's a few things I'll do on camera. There's a few things I'll do off camera. We'll cut this up and see how it works out. But I sure would like to have had this done. Maybe I'll put the torch to all this later and see if I can stretch this out and maybe get a good bite on it and redone. Because I mean, if I'm gonna see, it's all tore. It's not a big deal. You could buy this seat for like $80 on Amazon. Yeah, and it's just a single bolt that holds it on, I think. Actually, no, there's a few bolts. Well, we'll have to see. First things first, though. Fuel pump. Let's go ahead and, again, some of this is going to make sense to you guys. Some of it's not. Since the last mower video, I don't know if you guys saw, I was fixing our Taurus station wagon. Now, this is a kit that I got on Amazon. There we go. I don't have to yell. This is a kit I got on Amazon. It's just it's a universal fuel pump. I'd sure like to put it up here, tell you the truth, because that's kind of where the old one was. Anyways, let's go back to the kit. Let's look at the rest of the kit here. I don't have a table set up. My table's tied up. Get a little bit of fuel line. You get a fuel filter. Nice, right? And I think another fuel filter. Yep, check that out. Nice. I think what else we get in here? Oh yeah, and a shutoff valve. Now, obviously, the fuel filter, maybe. The shutoff valve, nah. I mean, it has a shutoff valve on it. But, yeah, I mean, it's kind of nice that this is all in a little kit. So, basically what I need to do is take the fuel tank hose, which feels pretty soft. Let me get my old man kneeling pad here. And, yeah. I could cut this hose. It seems to be going okay all the way through here to this. Yeah, all right. And then I could put that motor plate back on. It's actually missing the bolts. What? I only have one bolt here? And that one looks like, I don't even know what's going on there. It's missing there's a plate that goes through the backside that puts a couple studs through, or I don't think that it's over here. I mean, the cover is, but not the bolts. And I have not made my garage the way that it should be quite yet. Yeah, you can see there. Yikes. I don't have any nuts and bolts for the bottom. Let me see if I can find something. I know I have some decent carriage bolts, but it's not a carriage setup here on the back side. They're just regular, or are they? Let me see if I can make an indentation in my glove. I couldn't really tell. That's a trick if you guys want. You need to know a bolt size or bolt head or something that you can't get to. If you want to do it easy, you just kind of press your finger real hard against it to make an impression. Yeah, it's a carriage bolt. See, it works. So I can put a carriage bolt in there. I got some decent carriage bolts, but I don't think that the square on it is that big. Let me look. Nah, I'll try them. I don't think they're the right ones, but I'll try them. I'll try them anyways. Let me see what I come up with, and then I will show you my final results here. I just want to be able to access this stuff easily, that's all. Okay, so I've been working on this a little while, and I've been going back and forth, and I don't know. This is what I came up with. I didn't put a fuel filter in. I've got an area back here that I can. I just decided right now I just want to get this thing running. Looks like that this needs replaced or tightened or something though. So here's the deal. The fuel line's kind of wrapped around a little bit. This is okay because this is the pump side, meaning that it's being pumped through here, and it can easily pump from right here through this loop and into the carburetor. And as far as the fuel getting to the carburetor or to the fuel pump, not a problem through the existing line, through a fuel shutoff, and then into the fuel pump just with a simple loop down here. Again, I had to do these loops because it's a real tight fit. And then, of course, the pulse, I put a new hose on there, new fittings, and it's direct into the pulse setting, or the pulse side of things. And these fuel pumps, they're marked. It's got a little tiny arrow that points out, a little tiny arrow that points in, that's on the nipples for the pump. And then this one says P for pulse. If you didn't know what the P was, it's for pulse, or pump, however you want to look at it. So, it looks like the fuel's still leaking. So I have a problem with the fuel bowl and the needle and seat because I see it leaking. Shoot. So I've got the gas turned off, so it should run it out of gas entirely. Which you'd be surprised how long a mower can run off of what's just in the fuel bowl. And I'll tell you a story. You know there's going to be a story attached to something, and in this case I've got a good story about a Boland's. I think it's an S110. All right, that's good enough for me. So let me tell you a story about what I was saying, the Boland's S100. For whatever reason, that mower, oh my word, that was the only mower, and I've never had this happen. My location where I used to be there at the busy corner, I was able to sell every mower that I had out in front of my house. And I had those mowers marked all the way down to $200 each for a fully running start, run, everything. There was nothing wrong with them. I mean, the paint even looked better. The seats and the paint were better than what this one is. And it was a 10-horse Briggs, and it shifted fine. The belts were fine. The deck was fine. Everything worked exactly the way it's supposed to. And for whatever reason, people just stayed away from those mowers. So let me tell you the story about when I got the mower, though. That mower, when I got it, had a bad needle and seat in the carburetor. And instead of leaking out of the carburetor, it leaked into the engine. And the Briggs & Stratton engines, it had a tendency to do that occasionally if you had a bad needle and seat. And it filled the engine with gas. So there was a correct amount of oil that was in the engine, but then the gas tank, topped off the engine entirely till it was just way over full. Well, I decided to go ahead and clean the engine. And what I thought was, you know what? Let's run it with the gas in the oil. Let's see what happens. Well, here's the thing. I could start and run that mower with no fuel hooked up to it whatsoever. I disconnected the carburetor line going to the carburetor. I disconnected it. And that mower ran for 45 minutes straight with no fuel being run to it at all. And it was drawing the thinned out oil past the rings, and it was kind of acting like a two-stroke in a sense, I guess you could say. Obviously, it was a four-stroke, but it would suck the thinned out oil and gas past the rings, ignite it, and continue on running that way. That was the craziest thing. I had to bring my wife out. I showed her. I look at this. This thing's running with no fuel hooked to it. I shut it off. I drained all the oil out of it. I started it back up again. It smoked, as you might imagine, but not bad. I've had mowers that smoked a lot worse than that. It smoked just under load a little bit. So I went ahead and changed the oil again and put in a little bit thicker oil. I think I put a 40 weight in, and I put a little bit of Lucas oil treatment, and that thing quit smoking, and it ran like a top. It was really, really nice. So anyways, that was my story on that. I didn't want to have to get into the needle and seat. Here's the thing. If I have to get into the problem with the needle and the seat and the fuel bowl, I could have put this carburetor on. If I was to put this carburetor on, which, let me see if I can find here. Well, wherever it is, I could have put the other fuel pump on. Yeah, there it is. I mean, I could have went and got, like I said before, a rebuild kit for this. And this just screws into the carburetor, if you guys don't know. And then bolted this all up, and, I wouldn't have had to do all this work that I just did. Okay, so we should have a 1/2 inch in here. Do you guys have a favorite wrench? You know what? Here we are. When I was in the Army, so this was in I think it was when I first got introduced to my favorite wrench was in 1986. Nope, sorry, 87. In 1987, the place, I was stationed at Fort Hood, and of course I was a mechanic there. And my toolbox draw, meaning that I went to the tool crib, and I had to draw out my toolbox. I had to basically sign for every single, inventory it and sign for every single tool. Was this wrench from somebody previously. Looks like it's got a number on here. It says 30. I never noticed that before. Looks like it was stamped. So somebody heated it up, obviously, and just put a bend to it. This turned out to be my favorite wrench. I used this to replace so many different starters and this would loosen the distributor on my 302 just right. It would clear the housing the correct way. It worked so unbelievable, and all these years later, here I still have it. And at one point in time, I used to just tell my brother, hey, can you grab my favorite wrench out of the box? I mean, it just worked for everything. It seemed to fit everything just perfect. So yeah, that's my story of my favorite wrench. Just the craziest, simplest thing, right? So I've had this, this wrench has been together since 1987. Wow, okay. 7/16 it feels like. Now they got my fingers on there. Now, I haven't worked on anything for quite a while, so I hate this whole setup. When you go from a big snap-on toolbox that had all the tools laid out and they had their own little trays, and like I had trays that were set up that had multiple 1/2-inch wrenches in it and multiple 7/16-inch wrenches in them, and I just know to grab that. This is like foreign to me that I've got to deal with this stuff. All crammed into that little one toolbox. I haven't worked like that for quite some time. All right, let some gas that didn't clear out, obviously, run all over my hands and onto the mower, and hopefully the torpedo heater don't ignite some of these fumes. Matter of fact, I should shut that off, right, guys? Okay, everybody close their ears because I'm going to say the A word, and that ticks people off because it makes their devices screw up. Shut off torpedo. All right, I turned that thing off so I don't have to worry about it. There's a little bit of debris in here going into the main jet. I guess that's a good idea that I'm taking this off. It's not very bad though. Let me go ahead and set that here. All right, let me tap the bowl. Magic tap. Twink. Yeah, this looks all pretty good. Carburetor gasket looks good. Go ahead and put this in. I have some floor dry here somewhere. I just don't know where. I haven't figured out, again, this whole garage yet, how I'm going to do it, but I'll figure it out one day. Okay, so obviously if this thing is flooding, it means the needle and seat are not working. Either the seat has been damaged, missing, or hopefully it's just the tab on the fuel bowl is not, I don't think that they have it bent correctly. Yeah, usually what happens whenever people do this, and don't fall into this yourself, they know just enough to get themselves in trouble. So here what happens is they have a problem with their car, their engine getting fuel. So immediately you think, oh, it's got to be something with the carburetor. So they replace the carburetor. Then they still have a problem with fuel, and instead of looking at adjustments or fuel flow or anything else, they just start messing with stuff and doing the wrong thing. And in this case, they probably bent the tang on the needle and seat. Let me work on this a little bit, see if I can figure it out, and come back. Hopefully it's running by then, huh? You guys know that I try to make sure that I don't bombard you with too much junk as far as reviews. And some of you don't believe that. And I do a lot of reviews. But when I come across something a little bit easier to digest than a $2,000 e-bike, let's say, I definitely wanted to talk about it. I have a trouble light, let's just say that. It's just a real inexpensive light Heidi got at work. It's something that's kind of magnetic, and I've used it to work on the car, but it's kind of big, and I don't know. It works. Let's just say that. And for what she paid for it, it's like, oh, great. Well, this company reached out to me and asked if I was willing to do some sort of a little blurb about their product, and I'm like, It looks interesting. Like everything else, though, once you get it, who knows, right? But this came in and I was kind of impressed. It's under 20 bucks. Let's just say that right off the bat. I think right now it's 20 and there's like a 10% discount on Amazon, which I'm sure there'll be a link in the description here somewhere. But it's Warsun, Warsun, Warsun. And it says LED flashlight. Now, I'm using this. This is mainly for working on stuff, but it's pretty compact. There's not a lot to this as far as its function. It just has one button that does everything. So if you push this button once, you get a very bright flashlight. You press it again, and it dims just slightly. There's dual LEDs here. I'm not going to put this necessarily right into the camera, but it is bright. It does light up quite a bit. There's a display here that tells you how much percentage you have left on the battery. If you push the button one more time, you get this strobe effect, which Heidi hates whenever I turn that on. So you see this other area here. Well, this also too is an LED, but you long press that same button, which is a great idea. And this is very bright. What I like about this is it has a belt clip. So if you're one of those people that like to put it onto your purse strap or to your belt, obviously, or your visor or something, this would work really well. And you can see, I mean, it's pretty bright. It's not quite a floodlight, and it's a weird color. It's kind of like a yellowish. If I push that button again, we get that light one LED in here that's red. I don't know how that's coming on camera, but it is a red LED. If you push it one more time, you have yet another LED that lights up in here all by itself, and it's blue. If you want to impersonate the policeman, you can do that. You got alternating red, blue, which is pretty cool. And then off. Now, again, this is magnetic. So if I want to, put it on whatever I'm working on, if I can find some metal for it to connect to, these magnets seem relatively strong. But this also does something that's really cool. And it has a rotating head. Check this out. So now that light, you can put this in your pocket, up on your chest. If you have like a lot of those shirts that I wear, those big Hawaiian looking shirts, they have pockets on them, and I can actually clip this to my pocket and have a light at that point, which is really cool. I was impressed with it just as a light in general. And I kept on reading that it said rotating head. And I'm like, what are they talking about? Rotating head. So anyways, link will be down in the description for this. If you're interested in it, Warsun. Okay, so I went ahead and fired it back up again, and I'm looking for the fuel to start leaking out any second now, because that's just the way I expect whenever I don't clearly find something that could have been the problem. And I didn't see a problem. I mean, I bent the tab for the bowl or the float so that the needle gets a little bit more pressure on it. But other than that, I didn't see anything. I just didn't see anything that told me, oh yeah, this thing's leaking and I know why. So far, so good, though. Maybe I get it fixed. Of course, whenever you mess around with that bowl, your fast idle jet goes up through there. You need to, potentially readjust how much fuel is being delivered to the carburetor on the fast speed whenever that goes on. So I'll probably have to readjust that, but right now that looks pretty good. I mean, it's not leaking as fast as it did last time. This is wide open. So, okay. Oh, that's something, I suppose. All right. Now, the next thing I've got to do, since I'm still in this carburetor area and working on that, is to put the air horn back on, which I think I've got everything for this, hopefully. So obviously, the paint where it's all ruined here is facing down. This goes to the carburetor side. And then this is out here. It looks like it was like that. It's helped to spread the load, it looks like. And then these are the screws that hold it on. Whoa. This is supposed to be a screw that holds it on. I don't know what this thing is. Look at that. It's all bent and crooked. Oh my, what did they do? So I'm going to have to cut this bolt down. It's too long. I hate when people just like, oh, well, I ain't got the right bolt. Let me just go with something else. And it's fine if you just find something that matches, not something that's all bent. The reason it's bent is because once he got in so far with it, he was hitting stuff. You know what? On this side, it looks like it might have been okay. Let me look here. No, it's not even good on that side. Oh, my word. Oh, now it's stuck. Isn't that the way it always works? So the air cleaner, the reason they had those bolts in there is because they didn't have the right bolts, and they stripped out the carburetor. So I've got some delightful hookup with some big sheet metal screws. But I do have a rubber gasket, and it's like a roofing gasket with a big washer. So it should secure it pretty well. From what I can tell, everything's really secure on there. All right, now back to this. We're changing the drive belt now. And like I said, all the years, for 19 years, that I mowed with that other mower, the one that looks just like this, the 1975, I never took this off except to change the drive belt one time. You can bend these guides out of the way to put the deck belt on and off, but it's very critical that you get these guides where they need to be. The belt's got to be on the right side. You know, when the belt is tight, these guides, you know, are going to be really close to the belt. And then when the belt slackens up, the guides kind of stop it and make it loop the correct way. Anyways, I had to take this off for this belt. This is, like I said, this is one of those things that I very rarely, I've only changed the drive belt once in the other one, all the years, 19 years that I had it, because it was just a beast. I'm kind of doing this sort of quickly because, again, we're having that snow event possibly. Yeah, I felt that. And I need to change this thing. So I believe the pulley is accessible in the back. It doesn't require me to take anything off, or, from what I can remember. And I could be wrong. I could get in there and find out that I am screwed. Okay, I don't think it's 3/4. I don't think it's 11/16. I'm pretty sure it's 5/8, but I'll grab a 9/16 just in case it's causing a problem. We'll see. We'll find out here. Nope, 11/16, dead on. Incredible. Okay, well, learn something new every day. Usually when they make bolts really, really long, it's so that you can move stuff out of the way. Well, it didn't work. I had to take that bolt all the way off. Alexa, turn off torpedo. It's just a little too loud. Oh, there's a spacer in here. Boy, I got a whole bunch of stuff I got to put back together. This will be fun. When I put it back together, I got to put the bolt through with the washer, that way. Once it's through, I have to put it through this spacer. Then I have to put it through the guide. Then I have to put it through the pulley. And then I have a lock washer and the nut that holds it all in place. That's fun. Oh my. Just like a blister. Shows up after the work's done. Just kidding. She's been at work all day. So she helped me out because I needed the clutch to kind of be fiddled with as I was adjusting it. The carburetor was a handful to adjust. I've always had problems with these carburetors and these engines. I haven't tried to move it yet. I haven't felt the clutch myself to see where it's at. It might be crappy, might need adjusted, but it's all back together. I didn't do this. I just pounded it a little bit just to get a little straight. But this should be, it's not leaking gas. It's got the fuel pump on there. The fuel shutoff is on and it's still not leaking gas. Oh, and look at the belt. Now, Heidi's dad put this belt on this tractor, and I don't know how long ago that might have been, but boy, just turn it inside out.
I'm trying to get there.
Look at that.
It's seen better days.
It is just, it's not chunked, it's just broken.
You probably could have used that.
Usually chunks come flying out.
Yeah, when it gets this bad.
And it's glazed over. Yeah, it's glazed over pretty good too, so there's not a lot of grip. But yeah, that's you know, like I said, I know they didn't change this belt. There's no way that in just a short amount of time that this mower has been out of the possession of Heidi's family, which was last year, that belt got that worn. That is years of the belt being worn. And
oh, actually, it might have been this year.
Yeah. So I didn't put the ball on the back. I need to, so I can pull my trailer back into the shed and all that stuff. But let me try this out. I'm going to hand Heidi the camera. What I'm going to need to do now is I got to clear off the spot over here so that we can pull the mower in. And the reason I'm not parking it over there is because it's in front of the torpedo heater. And that thing we may turn on during the early morning hours to get Heidi's car warm for her to come out here. So let me clean this all up, straighten it out, and that's it. It's all finished, and we got the trailer back in the pole barn, along with the lawn cart and the mowing deck, because yep, it's nice, right? All this stuff just gets plowed away. One of the things that I talked about in the future shop that I'm trying to get together here, or repair area, is just preparing everything and getting it close to the way it was before. The first thing that I did when we got in here was replace lights. There was some lights that just, there was no bulbs in them, or they didn't work if they were in there. And then the ones that were in here weren't very bright. And you can see the overall brightness. Now, my phone is compensating a little bit for some of this lighting, but it's pretty accurate to what I'm seeing. This is pretty accurate. So basically, other than this disaster that you see, I have quite a bit of darkness that's happening in corners and stuff. So just take a good picture, or in your mental picture, I should say, in your mind, about what this lighting looks like. And we'll go then to the new lighting, which is basically 6 matching lights that's similar to this one here. I'm going to put this one inside, or back in the pole building maybe. But anyways, we'll go ahead and flip over and have 6 lights then. How about that? And the lighting should look a lot better. 3, 2. There you go. Not bad. I've got a lot of tuning I can still do on these things, but this is basically the general setup. The centers do a little bit of a different thing. They kind of move. Now, I know this is going to mess with the camera lens and all that stuff. You're probably not going to see this that well, but we'll see what the phone can do with this. So each panel, obviously, you know, you can bend that and change where the light is being directed at inside the garage. But then this one's like a little spot and it pivots. So if I have an area down here, you can see I can basically move it around. And especially if I'm over a toolbox or something or a workstation, I definitely could do something with that. So there's still some dark areas in here, but way, way, way better than what it was. And definitely lit up to the point where I can actually utilize the place a little bit closer to what I was doing before with these. Now, these are pretty good lights. This wasn't bad, but it's not as good as these. There's no doubt about it. So the lighting is going to be definitely more than adequate for what I'm doing out here. And that's, if you guys don't know, that don't watch my other channel, reviews. I have a tendency to do a lot of reviews. Like, here's an electric bike I got to do a review of. This is probably number, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 electric bikes I've done reviews on. And I need to, of course, have this set up for this channel for lighting, just to shoot regular video of just repairs and stuff that I do. Don't get caught up in some of the stuff you see on YouTube to where these guys are, you know, getting that real, which the hot thing now is that octagon looking thing that hangs, and there's like 15 different ones that all go together and form some kind of a unique lighting situation. I don't even know what to call it, but if you plan on doing any kind of work in your garage, just have good lighting as much as you can. I know a lot of you don't even have lights to this extent. You might only have 2 bulbs. Well, I'm going to tell you, go ahead and just buy 2 of these things. That will help out considerably. And then get yourself a really good trouble light. Drop light, shop light, floodlight, whatever you want to call it. The way the battery technology is going recently, you can buy some stuff that does a really good job for pretty darn cheap that lasts a long time. So that's it, guys. We will cover some more stuff here in the near future, and I hope to have some decent projects. Again, I want you guys to leave in the comments what you would rather see. I do like the old mower stuff. I like the, you know, mowers in general. I like small engines in general. That's why I had my own shop for all those years. However, I am not opposed to working on and finding old cars and messing with those. That's it for now, guys, and tune in next time for something more exciting.